That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Evil Dead Rise, the second film directed by Lee Cronin, and of course, the fifth film in the Evil Dead franchise, which premiered at the 2023 South by Southwest Film Festival, where it was met with grand acclaim and great reviews. Warner Brothers is releasing it theatrically April 21st, 2023.
Do you know this director's other films?
His first film, he's Irish. His first film was The Hole in the Ground, was at Sundance, a horror film, and I did not see it. I would be interested in seeing it.
Okay, the story. A twisted tale of two estranged sisters whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable. This movie was okay to me. I didn't care for it. I can see how people, I guess, would like it.
I feel like this is for fans of this franchise, sure. I feel like I needed a little more in the storytelling department.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a mom who I thought looked just like Gigi Good.
Ellie, played by Alyssa Sutherland. I mean, she's quite a striking screen presence.
Yes.
She was giving me... I agree with the Gigi Good comparison, but also she had that kind of willowy, like strong but kind of this sense of vulnerability, like a Sissy Spacek or
sure,
Mia Farrow even she was giving me, but yeah.
Okay, so she lives in an apartment in downtown LA with her 3 children. And it's important to know that that building used to be an old bank and is about to be like condemned. So she has to move out shortly. But her sister shows up.
Beth, played by Lily Sullivan,
who works for a band and had been on tour for a while, so she's returned home to visit her sister. And the two of them are catching up, and to do so, the mom asks her kids to leave to go get pizza, which we need to talk about. And while they're out getting pizza, there's a major earthquake. But the kids make it home at the time that the earthquake happens. So they're in the parking garage, like on the lower level of this building. And the earthquake causes a hole in the ground to form. Mm-hmm. And we can see through the hole in the ground the old bank vault.
He likes holes in the ground, his director.
So the oldest son, I think his name is Danny.
Danny. Mm-hmm.
This fool decides to jump into the hole, which is crazy to me. Because anyone who lives in LA knows that after a big earthquake, there are aftershocks. I don't know why he jumped that hole, but he did. And what do we find in the hole? In the vault? Like a shrine? Mm-hmm. I was very confused by this.
A shrine, though, with the kind of religious paraphernalia that if you've seen any film, you'd be like, oh, someone's hiding a demon in here.
Yeah, I was very confused by why there would be a shrine down there in this bank vault. But Danny finds the Book of Death, basically. I mean, he doesn't know that's what it is, but he finds the book. And then 2 vinyl records. Mm-hmm. So he gets back up to his apartment. They'd leave the pizza they went to go pick up. That hurt my heart.
It hurt my heart because the pizza was still edible, and we show the little girl eating some of the pizza, and they left it down there.
But they go back up to their apartment, and when everyone realizes they're safe, they settle in.
And these aren't rich people because they're like borderline destitute because this building is going to be demolished in a month.
And they have nowhere to go.
They don't know where they're moving yet.
And they just threw 3 pizzas away.
Got, what, 3 pizzas in LA?
But anyway, when they get settled back in the apartment, Danny decides to play the vinyl records. And we hear they're from 1920-something. And there's a priest talking about how he found the Book of the Dead made from flesh and blood and bones.
Like St. Patrick's Church, too, or something.
And that the first vinyl record is him speaking to the congregation like his bosses at the I don't know, the vice president of the church, I don't know, asking if he can interpret the book.
His fellow clergyman.
Which is also confusing because the only thing in the book are pictures.
Yes, we don't see any text in the book.
So what is he translating? But the second vinyl record is him saying, I unleashed a demon.
Oops.
And then something else we can get back to is, I know I've seen the other Evil Dead movies, and I know at some point the person with the book is like manipulated into saying the spell that will awaken the demon in the book.
There's always a way, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But in this movie, no one is manipulated. The spell is being set over the speakers of this kid's vinyl record machine, record player. It awakens the demon. His turntable. Shout out to Sierra and Chris Brown. But like the other movies, I remember that once the demon is conjured, we see it like rushing towards its victim, and the victim is the mom. So there begins an hour of the mom being possessed, and then her trying to get at her family, and then one by one, everyone else around becomes possessed.
They're stranded on the 14th floor of this building because the stairway has collapsed, and of course the
elevator's not working.
It's not working because the mother, Ellie's initial possession happens in the elevator, which basically trashes it.
So they have some neighbors that end up getting possessed. So the only two left at the end who are not possessed are Beth, the aunt, and
Kassie,
the little daughter of what's the mom's name?
Ellie.
So they're able to escape into the basement, but at that point, the demon has turned mom and her two kids into like a human centipede type thing.
And the neighbors, like all the corpses have
joined together,
conjoined
to create this very slow moving thing.
Kind of like what happens when rats get stuck too long together too.
Like the Rat King.
Yeah, the Rat King.
What's that cartoon we watched with the Rat King that was not very good? Did we review that movie?
We did, about the cat.
I swear
something that Amazing Maurice or something.
Something like that. But anyway, this thing is slow, so it allows...
Yeah, it's strange how slow it is.
It allows Beth and Kassie to get down to the bottom. And they're able... For some reason, there's like a wood chipper in the basement of this building in downtown LA that's about to be imploded.
Somebody's lawn service equipment is down there, yep.
And they get that creature in there and blow it up, and all the blood splatters everywhere. So, that's the end. Kassie and Beth are able to get away. But it's important to know the opening of the film, we're at a cabin at a lake. And we see 3 people there on like a weekend holiday. And one of the people is clearly sick. And we can talk more about it, but she's possessed and kills the other 2 people at the lake, and then we cut to downtown LA one day earlier. So it's the end of the film that we realize that how it's connected. One of the neighbors in the building downtown, who apparently didn't witness all this hell happening the night before, in the morning she gets up to drive to the cabin on the lake, and when she gets into her car, she sees all the carnage in the garage, and she's possessed by the demon. So that's how it's all joined together.
Yes. Which is kind of slipshod.
I think the story is weak to me, so I was kind of bored.
It's weak because, and then it's also frustrating because it's like, well, this is just a nightmare you can't escape from. So, I guess I'm gonna check out now from feeling like I just.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. Like, well, I guess we can't really do anything about it, so why bother?
But also, and okay, so what I do like the special effects, the sound design, all that's great. It will satisfy gorehounds, I'm sure. And again, with these bitchy demons that, seem to be dead homosexuals. The way
the way these demons talk, they seem like homosexuals. I don't know.
And I do like the sisters. I like Lily Sullivan and Alyssa Sutherland. I thought they were nice screen presence. But that kind of ends there because it just doesn't make sense to me that once you realize you're battling something supernatural, they get the mom, Ellie gets locked out in the hallway at one point, and they're just gonna hunker down for the night. You aren't riding a mattress down those 14 stories or tying sheets together or doing something. I don't know.
I did think the opening scene was a good start because we get this very creepy shot, like, of one of the women sitting at the dock of the bay, and something's like coming at her at a very high rate of speed, but then we realize it's just a drone being controlled by some douchebag who's part of the group. So I thought that was a very strong start. And then the one girl who's possessed, her cousin is with her, and the cousin's reading Wuthering Heights.
Which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, so she goes to see her cousin because she finds out her cousin's not feeling well, but really she went to go borrow the car keys. But she's talking to her cousin, and then all of a sudden the possessed cousin starts reading lines from the exact page on Wuthering Heights the other one's reading from. So I thought that was very creepy. And then, of course, she gets up and kills the other 2. So it was a good start.
It's a good start. I don't know.
But the whole bank vault situation, that threw me all the way off.
Like Spike Lee's Inside Man. And
Like, why would there be a shrine in the bank vault? Who put it there? And also, I'm so confused by the demon itself because the demon doesn't appear to need anyone's assistance to tear shit up.
Right, and like it's in the mother. We've seen her crawling on walls already. You can't crawl around the building through the window. Like you're just stuck out there.
Okay, well that part, but also we hear the priest talking on record saying how he doesn't know how to destroy the demon. There's no getting away from it. So where has this demon been the last 100 years? Like, was it locked up? Because it didn't appear to need any help being like let back out again.
The rules are confusing to me. Just like also Ellie gets scissors in the head at one point, and that stops her long enough for Beth to collect her bearings and try to figure out a plan to get out. And then Bridget gets there's an infectious transmission of the demon is one thing, but it doesn't seem like it really needs to do that at all.
Yeah, there's a very handsome neighbor who is there to kind of assist this younger guy.
Mm-hmm. And Gabriel.
That's his name? Mm-hmm. And at one point, once we realize, or we think Ellie's dead, and they've placed her in the bed because it's important to know there's no cell service.
Of course.
In addition to not being able to get down from the 13th, 14th floor. So all of a sudden, Gabriel's like, may I pray? And even the auntie's like she's not religious.
Well, and it really doesn't. It doesn't.
It's like, don't do anything.
It doesn't do anything because I'm like, oh, are they setting that up? Because when he makes a reappearance in the hallway and it's a confrontation with Ellie, I guess you could call that a memorable death scene.
The prayer didn't do anything anyway.
No.
Okay, so then you already alluded to Ellie getting locked out of the apartment, and it seems like she's just resigned herself to sitting crisscross applesauce in the hallway. Like she's not gonna come into the apartment, and then. Of course, like she can sense that her youngest daughter, Kassie, is looking at her through the peephole. So she starts talking to her in like a sweet voice. Like, mommy's okay, let me in. And the movie has a couple of laughable like moments that are meant to be funny. I think most come from the young daughter.
The little girl, yeah.
Because at one point, the mom is trying to tell the daughter, open the door, it's me, I'm good. And the daughter goes, you don't look so good.
Yeah.
But what does this dumb little girl do? Open the door. And thankfully the chain was on the door. So the mom doesn't get all the way in. And they're able to keep her out a little bit longer. But like you said, what's stopping this mom from breaking down the door?
Because she does get in. Because there's another plot point about one of the neighbors with the shotgun that his cat gets into the vents. And the cat starts meowing at one point. And then Ellie figures that's a way that she gets back into the apartment.
Another plot point is we're told multiple times that Beth is a music technician. Mm-hmm. Like she, because the joke is she's a groupie, but she's like, no, I actually like work on sound for these concerts. So there's no power in the building, and she wants to hear the record to figure out like how can she defeat the demon. So she rigs up this battery with the wire to connect the record player. I don't know that I needed that.
No, it's also important to note that she is pregnant.
That's right.
She's sold to us as an irresponsible woman. And another thing, so she doesn't realize that Ellie's husband has left her. So that's why the kids are thrown out of the house to get pizza. But it's like, they already know daddy's gone. So why can't...
We need to repeat that. The mom lets her oldest kid, who looks like he's 11,
Danny,
take his other two kids in the car to go get pizza in downtown LA, late at night. Which seems kind of like risky, especially because you want privacy to tell your sister something the kids already know.
And then she spends that time stalking around the apartment being like, well, I got to pack. And then they're talking in separate rooms. So Beth doesn't get to say that she's pregnant to her sister, but she basically says, I'm in trouble again, I need you to help me. To do what? Get an abortion? What do you need her help for?
Yeah, I didn't understand why she thinks she needs her sister's help, but...
Are you strung out? Like there's just things that didn't add up to how these two women would speak. So I think it's a testament again to both of these actors' screen presence that kind of allowed me to put a lot of that to the side a little bit. But
when Beth and Kassie at the end finally get to the garage and they see that this like Rat King is following them, they do get the garage door open, and I was so confused why they didn't just run out. But then at the 11th hour, they do try to run out because they see now that the door's closing.
That thing stayed open so long in LA. Again.
Unbelievable.
I don't think so.
There's a building literally like down the street from us. You've never seen a garage door open so fast. It's like zoom, zoom. It's like a guillotine.
That shit seems possessed.
Yes. So it was unbelievable how long this garage stayed open. But anyway, they do finally, as it's lowering, run out. But the daughter doesn't make it because the demon grabs her. And I feel bad for saying this, but I would love to have people comment below after they see the movie. I would have left that little girl. Her mom and her siblings are already gone.
But they've established that Beth has realized that she is a maternal figure. Raise
your own baby then. Worry about the baby in your belly. Right?
She's proving it to herself that she can mother.
If I were that unborn baby and I found out that I died because you saved some other baby, I'd be mad as hell.
Well, nobody would find out at that point.
And then
there's another scene too where there's a fire escape located in the entrance to it on this floor is in an abandoned apartment that's been locked tight, and so Beth is trying to get into it with a shotgun and can't, and decides to go in the elevator with the girl.
Oh,
and the elevator is clearly been
possessed,
touched by possession, and fills up with blood, a la The Shining. Which looks cool.
It does. And I was reading that they used 1,717 gallons of blood in this movie. And I believe 1,700 gallons of that were for this elevator scene.
Probably.
Because the movie's not as bloody or gory. I'm going to end with the gross bits because I'm sure people are curious if they're not going to see this movie. But yeah, my final note is, didn't that lady at the end, so the opening scene, the lady who's possessed, when we see her at the end, didn't she remind you of Alexis from Schitt's Creek?
Yeah.
Like this vapid.
When she's possessed.
But she also didn't match, because she's actually she does match all these wannabe rich girls in LA who live in squalor. But, okay, so there were maybe like 4 moments in the film that were kind of like, oh, whoa, that's a lot. So I thought I would name them. So at one point, Ellie bites the eyeball out of the handsome young neighbor.
Gabriel.
And then spits the eyeball into the mouth of his brother, I think.
The kids that are watching the Nightmare on Elm Street films.
That was funny. Then Bridget, the older daughter, she starts vomiting up like
bugs,
maggot soup,
bug mush.
And then the next scene is we see her chewing on glass because she wants to get rid of the bugs in her. So that's creepy, gross. And then when she's swallowing the glass, we see it like rip open her throat. That was a lot.
Sure, it's not. I think the bug scene with the cockroaches and creep show is a little worse for me than that. But
then Bridget, that same girl with the chewing glass, she attacks her aunt with a cheese grater.
The cheese grater scene got me because I'm like, ooh, that would hurt.
That would hurt. And then, of course, the end where the Rat King gets ground up and all the chunky blood is shot everywhere. Of course, that's... But then I felt like it was so extra because it felt like...
But they're covered in this demon blood, and how are they not infected then?
Again, I have questions about the mechanics of this possession. Just for future knowledge, in case I ever run into it, I don't know how I'm going to evade it. This movie wasn't for me, but it looks nice.
It does look nice.
The sound editing, I think, is very strong.
I do like rated R films, but again, I don't know. I need, personally, as a human, I need more.
What would you give this movie?
Notably, Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi executive produced. Mr. Cronin was handpicked to do this. I think it's a decent examination of his skills as a filmmaker. To me, the scariest scene is when Ellie is first possessed and comes back in the apartment and starts cooking all those eggs. And what a waste! Like the sacrilege of wasting all of those expensive eggs for nothing.
What would you give this movie?
I would give it 2.5.
I didn't care for it, but I would give it 2.5. I guess it's fine. I'm sure people will love it.
And as they are welcome to do.
Anything else?
No.
Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.